Hello, good day to all. This webinar is initiated by Prime the Talent Limited. It was incorporated in the year 2016 in the heart of London to address the growing challenges in the talent supply chain, to create a strong pipeline of talent, to ensure that the workforce has right skills for the current and future industrial cycles. I hope you all are having a good day. Let's make it better by getting an insight about human machine collaboration in the recruitment process. I am Ekta Gupta, behavioral skills trainer for Prime the Talent UK and today's host. As we all know, that in recruitment process, someone has to write job descriptions, screen incoming resumes, shortlist and communicate with best matches and so on. However, with the introduction of machine-human collaboration in recruitment process, we are here to discuss its benefits, role of human recruiters, ethical consideration, challenges, and potential impact of such a partnership. I take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Parthajith Shenoy, who is currently HR leader and ER leader at Microland UK. He owns a vast experience and knowledge in business HR partnering, acquisitions, global mobility, someone with proactive attitude and passion to develop people skills. Mr. Shenoy, we welcome you with utmost enthusiasm and curiosity to learn more. Kindly enlighten us more about yourself, please.
Thank you, Ekta. Just wanted to check, am I audible and am I visible as well?
Yes,
Can you
sir,
hear me
you're
okay?
clearly visible and audible. Yes,
Okay,
of
all
course.
right, great. First of all, thank you so much. I'm first of all honored and humbled to be invited for this event. I look forward to having a good interaction with all the attendees. I know it's a live event. I'm sure that there will be a lot of questions which would come our way, and I am personally delighted to be part of this session today. Um, I think if I may just introduce myself while Ekta did the honors, I'm a person who believes in imparting knowledge. I'm a person who believes in exchanging thoughts and ideas. I'm a person who always believes in learning not just from experienced people, but also from people who are new into the industry. And I'll talk about that. But that's how I'll describe myself. But before I get into the topic, my name is Parthajith. In short, I go with Partha. I've been in the industry now for more than 18, 20 years, have played multiple roles during my journey. I'm passionate about enabling people and enabling business. I'm currently working with Microland, and I'm based out of London. I take care of the HR for EMEA region, and I also take care of the compliance and employee relations function for Microland globally. Prior to that, of course, I've been associated with other organizations like KPMG and Tech Mahindra. But I think one thing that's stood out very clearly during my journey is um, people, connections, and how well people can remember you of things which have mattered the most to them at that point in time. So that's something which I carry along my journey. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about myself. But yeah, I'm excited, and thank you so much to Prime Talent for inviting me for this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Shenoy, to begin with, could you please define machine-human collaboration in respect to recruitment process? And what metrics can actually organization use to measure its effectiveness?
Right. I think there's lots of talks that's happening all around us about machine learning, robotics, and how possibly machines may take over the world. I think it's for us, which is the humanity, to understand the nuances, how understand the benefits of how we can collaborate together. And as all of you know, it just dates back many years back, right? Right from the time when General Motors way back in 1950 started to realize that machines could do better in terms of getting a car assembled in the US, or for that matter, introducing different robotic techniques in different fields. I think have been and I think we have been living and working with machines all throughout our life. I think our day starts with a machine, which is our mobile. We I think all of us are so addicted, and I try to make it a point that I try to do some sort of digital detox by making sure that I stay away from gadgets for some time. But having said that, we have always been collaborating with machines for quite some long time, and it's only increased our interactions over the last few years. I must say that over the last 2 years, where the world had to go through a major havoc of the pandemic that we all witnessed, I think as a blessing in disguise, a lot of things started to get automated. Um, if I have to talk about recruitment, let's try to do a little bit of rewind and go back in time in the history. As many of you would know, the good old days of the paper and pen mode, where people used to go and see the advertisements at the outside of the factories, or for that matter any of the offices. They would go and apply for roles. They would possibly go and fill in certain applications, and that's how most of the advertisements would typically work. Come fast forward, in the late 80s and 90s, as internet started to slowly become imminent amongst all of us. I think many companies started to realize how this can be leveraged for let's say talent acquisition, right? And that's how slowly digital advertisements, people started to look at publicizing it on different job boards, and then so on happened. And then comes an era where again fast forward into the future, in late 2000 and early 2010, you see a lot of companies adopting to newer tools and techniques to make their jobs better. Right, it could be right from the time when companies started looking at parsing CVs from different job boards to help them do their job better, to again now coming to fast forward, a lot of AI tools and techniques which have are amongst us, which not only gives us perspectives of one, can we find the right match for the role? Two, can we reduce the cycle time of looking at hiring a person? Or three, for that matter, look at how quickly we can take certain unbiased decisions. All right. At the end of the day, let's all accept the fact that we humans are always surrounded by our experiences, our perceptions, which could be both positive as well as negative. They are both cognitive as well as intuitive, and many of you may know that machines learn from us. Right, what you teach a machine is something will make the machine more and more perfect and try to be more error free. And that's what we are talking today about, the different tools which are being adopted in recruitment to help us do our jobs better. But I think still, I still believe there's still a long way to go. I think it's a good start. I'll just add on to one point. I was looking at some of the latest reports from some of the analysts, right, from mainly Forrester, Gartner, and some of the Magic Quadrant that they publish. I think they do predict that when we started just before the pandemic, the AI industry, or the machine learning industry, was just about 2 to 5 billion US dollars globally. And come fast forward, if we step into 2030 or 2050, the market is estimated to be roughly about 50 to 70 billion dollars. So you can see that this industry is growing at a healthy, compounded rate of about 25% plus, and that's where the core market segment lies, and that's where you create your so-called nicheness in the tool that you bring in. or for that matter, create a mark, in that industry by investing in tools. So that's how I kind of summarize to say how from the time when we have moved from paper pen mode to so-called digital era of recruitment, and how we have evolved over a period of time. So to answer that, yes, it's part and parcel of our lives today.
It sounds great and quite interesting, sir. And I do agree and second the thought that you said that sometimes it's imperative to distance ourselves from technology at times. Sir, there must be training and resources involved for human recruiters to make this collaboration a success.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Ekta. I think like as I said, it's inevitable for a human and a machine to work together and collaborate. That only helps us to be better. I think there's a common myth that people talk about that if machines come in, they will probably replace our jobs. I don't think that's the case. It's only about how we can live and coexist together for a common purpose, which is to solve a problem or go and achieve a common target. Now, having said that, um, I think the fundamental thing in talent acquisition today is if we introduce more and more AI tools, it only helps the recruiter do the job better. I do see if I again, like to fast forward a later point in time in the future, I do see that a recruiter's role would evolve over a period of time. With more and more AI tools coming into the picture, I do see that, or I do believe that a recruiter would be able to become much more um, uh, intuitive, much more having enough face time with the candidates to talk to them lot more than they would have probably done today. As you can imagine, many of us who are in the industry of HR or talent acquisition, we are continuously being looked upon to chase our targets, to meet our targets when it comes to talent acquisition, and that's the need of the hour, and that's how business is changing, right? And it's inevitable. But I think with a lot of AI tools coming into perspectives, I think recruiters would be able to become much more intuitive, much more empathetic towards the candidates, would be able to play the role of talking a lot and taking certain decisions, which probably today machines may not be able to do so. But I think as and when more and more machine starts to look at learning how these decisions can be made, I think slowly, to a great extent, we will be able to coexist and and collaborate. Now, having said that, let me also get down to the path of the second part, right? How a recruiter can do better. I think it's all about number one, understanding the tool, right? As many of you know, in most of the organization there exists a base database, right, of employees, right, or I would say an ERP application. And at times some of the ERP applications do have certain AI enabled features, like for example, there are tools like Darwin Box or SAP, which to some extent have AI based approach, but there is always a wrapper around them, right, which actually helps you to add on to the foundation, right. There are many organizations like, for example, Paradox AI, Skillet, to maybe name a few, or CVs, which actually work very beautifully with many of these large ERP systems that we have today, and help you to do your job better. And then that's where the recruiter would need to come in to understand how things work, how things operate. What can you do to make the machine understand better by way of making it to learn about your job descriptions, or for that matter, what are your typical turnaround times? What are the typical things that you'd normally ask a candidate Can you administer a tool, for example? I know a lot of companies across the globe, when you do large scale mass hiring, when we go to different campuses or different technology or B schools, what are some of the, cognitive or technology based assessments that can be driven using these tools. So I think that's something which obviously a recruiter or somebody within the organization would need to teach the tool to do better. So these are some of the things, as I said, machine can learn only from what you feed in, right, and it can only try to do better, right. I like quoting this example to say that um, you know how can look at our normative and formative years when we were child, right. We kept learning from our parents, we kept learning from our tutors or teachers in school, and that was only possible by experiential learning. We only learned from our own experiences, what we saw, what was relevant, and then based on that we tried to develop our own capabilities, to either crawl, to either stand, to talk, etc. And in this entire cognitive approach, if you try to translate that to machines, I think that's what machines are doing, right? They're trying to learn from you, they're trying to get better at what you want them to be at, and that's how they are helping you to do your job better, right. So I think essentially that's what recruiters would need to do at the end of the day. To one is, of course, understand the systems better, help the system to do the job better by feeding in your experiences, what things that will help your job do better, and then that's what I would like to summarize.
That sounded quite enlightening, sir. Thank you so much for that. My very next question is actually from my personal experience. While giving training sessions, some of my trainees showcased the fear that such collaboration benefit organization alone in lessening the workload or human recruiters, but it will adversely affect the candidates seeking employment. Could you please help them dissipate this fear?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. I always like giving this, example of a coin, right? And coin always has two sides, right? And a heads and a tail, right? And it's all about, your preference, whether you like heads or you like tail, right? So yeah. So similarly, in the world of human collaboration with AI, there are always two sides, right? One side is where you go with a thought process, or you go with a school of thought to say, look, can machines help you, do your job better? If the answer is yes, then you try and slowly see how much can you increase your adoption rate. Today, in the industry, if I'm not wrong, many companies are anywhere between 10 to 20% in terms of the adoption rate, depending upon the tools or additional, technologies that they have introduced over and above, as I said, like a wrapper on the existing tools that they have. But then there are also organizations which are still not into the early, um, bandwagon of getting into the rat race of AI. Now, one can possibly argue to say that perhaps would AI do better, or would AI not help you do better? So one example I can state, where this is something which I was reading through, was again nothing against the organization and the approach that they took, but in not so recent past, there was an organization which was into the cosmetic industry. They were in the middle of laying off a few people because some roles were made redundant, and obviously they had to follow an approach. So what they felt was, their intention was right, of course. They wanted to make sure that they wanted to introduce an AI enabled tool which will help them to decide who's the better among the employees, right? And then they could possibly decide on who to retain and who to possibly get down the path of saying thank you. So, but I think for their luck, I think they did not disclose the approach that they were taking with these impacted employees, and of course that resulted into, as all of us can imagine, not so happy moments with the employees, and that resulted into sort of a conflict. It went into a sort of a legal battle, and the courts were very clear that while your intent was right to to filter out people, but I think you cannot just leave the decision with the machines, right? To say that okay, who you would want to select. So there has to be some sort of an approach which involves a human element as well. And then of course that company had to get into out of court settlement with some of those employees and settle the matter. So if I have to talk about here in the UK, even the government, through some of its decisions that they took in 2020 and 2021 pertaining to the national AI strategy that the government is trying to implement, and some of the imperatives around data privacy, data sensitivity, and to what extent you can use the machines. I think there's still I would say not so conservative approach, but not even I would say a pragmatic approach. It's somewhere in between, because people are waiting to see how things are evolving. You can refer some of the latest paper that was released by gov.uk talking about some of the insights about how AI can help do your job better, or on how AI can possibly replace jobs, right? So as I said, it's always, there are two perspectives. There's always two sides of the coin. But I think it's all about how you can position yourself to say that whether AI will help you do your job better, or go with the mindset that is AI taking your job. From my perspective, I have to take a stand. I think AI will help us do our job better. I still think that there's a lot of time for us to adopt to a stage where AI can do a lot of things which probably we would want them to do, or the machines to do. But I think there will always be an human element which we would need to exercise, because at the end of the day, we are interacting with humans. It's not a machine to machine interaction, right? So there has to be a touch of what we call empathy, which I don't think we should discount at any given point in time. So that's how I'll put it.
I really hope we could help to lessen the anxiety towards this recent development. So how has collaboration of human and machine in the recruitment process in the UK has changed over the last 5 years? If you could elaborate more on this.
Yeah, sure. I think, like as I said, a lot of organizations are in that, journey path, or the, path to see what would help them do their job better. I think, in the UK, we have seen a lot of, sectors adopting to, um, introducing human and machine collaboration, right? As you can imagine, the early adopters are always, the BFSI, or the medical industry, or for that matter, military industry, right? Or military, so to say. Um, and of course, there are players out there in the market, which I'm referring to the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, or the Everest Peak, that is which has been published. And there are players, of course, who are clearly leaders out there, who have brought in tools, capabilities, to do our job better, right? So some of them, to name a few, we have automation anywhere, or for that matter, Blue Prism, UiPath. I think UiPath is a classic example. In my organization, we collaborate with UiPath and help provide, different collaborative solutions to do our or help our customers do better. So there are different, companies out there who are leaders clearly, and some of these are seen, in the way how it's translating at work. If I have to talk about some of the tools, in my current organization, we had adopted one of the tools. Apologies, I'm not able to disclose what that tool is, but it actually helped us to do better in terms of finding the right skills and the right match. And we saw that the AI-enabled feature was able to help us screen to the extent of about 60 to 70% of the probability of matching a role, and that this tool would probably parse different database from different sources, and then try and give the best option for us. And we just didn't stop there, right? So we said that we will obviously bring in the human element of having the recruiter take certain decisions over and above what a machine takes. Right, and we took it one step ahead. After the employee joined my organization, we adopted another AI tool to listen into the employees to say how has been their experience, what do they think about working in my organization, or for that matter, what help do they need on an immediate basis during the initial stages of the entire assimilation program that they are going through, and so on. So we looked at trying to create that end-to-end solution. So the pilot has worked really well, and I think we are looking at implementing some of the um, approach to see how we can make it a big bang in the organization. So that's something which I can quote as an example, but I think adoption has over the last few years, I would say, slowly moved from about 10 to 20%. Like I said, that's like a global norm. I think the same trend is what I'm seeing even in the UK as well.
Thank you, sir. That sounds quite encouraging. So, is there any kind of shortcomings to such collaboration? Like, what are the limitations or challenges to implementing AI in the hiring process? Those have been encountered till date.
Um, I think one big challenge that I see, which I think all organizations do witness, is cost. Right, all the AI tools are at the end of the day, which sits like a more like a stack on top of a pack of cards, right? And it's all about trying to balance out to say, okay, are we ready yet, right? And so it's always the element of cost and readiness, right? There are organizations who have mastered it, where they have gone down the path of approach of introducing Six Sigma in the entire hiring process, and they have kind of mastered it, right? And then we have classic examples of organizations like GE, or for that matter SAP, or many large organizations out there. um, and what they have done is that, let's say GE, they themselves have a platform called as Predix, and then my organization works with GE and with Predix as well on the IoT platform and the AI machine learning tool that we will collaborate on. I think it's a beautiful experience which we're trying to give to our clients. And if that's something which can be sold to a client, then why cannot we look at adopting that within the organization, right? And adopting within the organization is the best use case before you take it to the customers, right? And that's something which many organizations are realizing. But I think the biggest barrier in according to me in my mind is cost, and where are you in that life cycle of readiness, all right? If you know that you have reached a stage of mastering the process, it's reached a stage where there are less errors in the process. If you look at the Six Sigma way of working, I think that's the basic determining factor which generally people tend to evolve or determine to say whether do I look at cost first or do I look at readiness. And if I'm okay with the both, then maybe try and do a balancing act and look at implementing in a phased manner, right? And as I said, adoption is slowly increasing, but look at how I can look at having both cost and readiness, balance it out. So that's what I would say as the most deciding factors for any or every organization.
According to Glassdoor, there is evidence that AI-powered recruiting software increases productivity by 4% and reduces employee turnover by 35%. So how does this implementation improves overall recruitment outcomes?
Um, Well, again, it's a good question. I think we should not forget about our fundamentals, right? And the fundamentals are when we talk about recruitment. I think are for example, let's say, what are our targets, right? What are the hiring typical targets? Every organization will have targets based on the business pipeline, based on what they think is their manpower planning that they have done at the start of every year. So there will be hiring targets, so we need to look at that. The second good old metric that is generally used in recruitment is time to hire, right? How quickly we can hire people, right? The other important element or metric which has gained a lot of prominence over the last 10 plus years is, if I may use the word stickiness of the individual after the person has joined the organization. Are we seeing more and more early attrition? How can we curb that? I think that's something which is considered as an important parameter, for even a recruiter. I know a lot of organizations, including mine, we give a lot of weightage for a recruiter to have this aspect in mind to say that, are they doing their job better? At the end of the day, let's, accept the fact that recruitment is just like a sales job, right? You're basically making sure that you're giving the right perspectives. But when I talk about sales, I often tend to remember this on a lighter note. You either convince or you confuse, right? But I think we are better off with convincing rather than confusing, because we don't want somebody who's disgruntled joining the organization. So having said that, I think having a parameter or a metric of letting the employee continue in the organization for longer, I think that's an important parameter. Um, I think the other element that's gaining, a lot of prominence over the last 5 to, I would say, 7 years, and which organizations are also focusing on is, are we being inclusive in our hiring? Do we have enough good practices of being inclusive? Yeah, I'm sure all organizations do have approach to say that they are equal opportunity employer, or they take certain affirmative actions when it comes to such matters. But I think it's all about more than lip service. It's about how you kind of get that and put it into action, right? So I think inclusivity and diversity is something that's a lot of organizations are focusing on. So these are some of the 4 or 5 parameters which I think, and of course um, above all is the cost, cost to hire, right? And how quickly we can hire. So these are the fundamental, I would say, parameters or metric which I think we should not forget, right? If we try to bring that and extrapolate, with the tools that we want to adopt, and only to realize that if the um, AI tools are able to help us achieve those targets, is where I would say the statistics of to say, okay, an increase in 4% or 10% or even 20% of adoption of AI tools can possibly help your employees retain in the organization. So everything is linked at the end of the day. And that's what, as an example, I was trying to narrate that, how in my organization, we're trying to see how a tool can help us do our job better in finding the right mix of people or talent from the market or internally within my organization, and then go down the path of having the person assimilate into the organization, see whether the retention of the employee is helping to stay with the company for longer. I think that's essentially, the whole 9 yard, I would say, of looking at increasing our efficiency in the way we hire and looking at the parameters, but at the same time, helping the employee come and assimilate and do their job better and continue for longer in the organization. So yeah, that's how I'll put it.
So this induces one query though, that how does the usage of machine-human collaboration in the recruitment process compares between the UK and the other countries?
Again, it's an interesting perspective, right? Um, if I have to look at UK as a market alone, I think UK has been, just like US, has been early adopter in different areas when it comes to AI and machine learning, right? There are a lot of incubator, or incubator platforms which help different companies to thrive, and I know that there are a lot of industry bodies which are helping companies do better. So I would say according to me, and according to some of the statistics, I think to a great extent, UK has been one of the early adopters in leading the way along with US. Now, be it in the recruitment space, or for that matter, even in other industries which I mentioned, right? You name it, right? For example, let's take Amazon, right? If you go down, just outside London, or some at the outskirts where they have their large warehouses, you will see machines do their best, right? Help them to sort out the packages, look at which postcode it needs to be delivered, or how can they get them loaded onto the truck and get them delivered in time, reducing the cycle time as well as increasing the efficiency. I think that's another classic way of saying that how UK has been one of those countries which has adopted at the early stage, and it's not just just 1 or 2 years. It's been there for last couple of years, or at least I would say 5 to 7 years. So yes, I think UK has been leading in this space, and I'm glad that at least my organization has also been trying to get into that so-called rat race of making our lives better, from that standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Shenoy. As we have already shed light on cost incurred, could you please tell us also about that this machine, human collaboration, how does it really affect time? Does it really save time in the recruitment process?
Um, yeah, I think the simple answer is yes. And then again, I'll go back to what I said, right? It's all about how you are helping the system or the machine to do better. At the end of the day, let's be clear, right? It's all about simplifying and automating what we are doing today, in a manual way, right? Now it could be in simple terms. For example, the way we parse CVs, or the way we are trying to filter out candidates. And I know there are smart people out there who generally know that the CVs get shortlisted basis, how a robot does the parsing. So they know how to crack the code and get the chances of getting selected, at least at the screening stage, quicker than someone who's doing, an honest job of calling out what they have actually done. But having said that, again, I would say that it's all about how we can do our job better, how it's helping us to reduce the time to parse CVs. It's all about can we increase the efficiency and the progress with which we can hire a candidate much faster. It's also about can we have and I was simply amazed when I heard about this, one of the tools which actually try to do a job of number one, integrating with all the different platforms or the job boards out there. Look at what let's say we have an opportunity, and we want to advertise, how it automatically looks at advertising in all these job boards. All that you need to do is just to make the machine understand what is our unique selling proposition, right? How we would like to market, and it just does its job. Once that's done, once it's we get bunch of CVs, it beautifully tries to divide on who's made it and who's not made it, right? And gives a good dashboard to say, hey, these are the likely probability of close match of the opportunity that we are looking at. And if the recruiter selects yes, then the machine is also told who are the panel members. So the machine would actually go down and integrate beautifully with, say, for example, Outlook or any of the tools out there, and go and figure out what's your calendar looking like, right? And then go ahead and book the time of the panel member, and just it just flows seamlessly. There are tools which actually does the job of trying to find out um, how active you are in the market, right? Many a times there are silent or passive candidates. Can you try and see if they are really interested? So there are tools which can integrate beautifully with, for example, LinkedIn or any of the job boards. Of course, it's needless to mention it's not free of cost, but it integrates beautifully, and it will try and scout for people who are passive, who have been probably not been so active, but then try and find out if they would be really interested, right? And then do targeted communication to candidates and see whether they are really interested. So yeah, I think there are options galore. So it's all about how each of these tools are helping us do our job better, and I would definitely say yes. It does help.
Sir, thank you again. That was quite enlightening. Before we open the platform to the questions from the audience, I have a last question for you, sir. How can
Yeah.
companies ensure that technology used in the way that benefits both the company and the candidates?
Right. I think it's at the end of the day, let's all accept the fact that it's all about experience, right? How are you making an experience better for the candidate, or the person who we are in discussion with, or how do you get that a good strike rate of getting the candidate converted to an employee, and then from there on how you bring a better experience of that candidate being an employee. So I think it's all about, in my mind, it's about experiences, right? Companies who have cracked the code of giving better experiences are the ones who are having better, I would say, joining ratio and lesser offer declines. People or companies who have done well are also the ones who are able to retain their employees longer in the company. um, I'm sure many organizations do their best to make it a point that the um, offer declines are to a great extent curbed. But I think with the AI tools which are there, you can actually look at whether the person, how active he or she is in responding to your communications, how well and how many times the person has actually gone to your website and checked how well they are or how quickly they are completing the process before joining. And looking at those insights, right, you can actually ascertain or determine whether the person is really interested to join, right? I think those are some of the areas where I think machines can help us, because at the end of the day, we humans go by the intuition. We try our best to speak to the candidates at different points in time who we have offered, and look at to see what's the right thing to do to make their experience better from the time that they are offered to the time that they join. But with the additional layer of the machine and the AI tool coming in, it only gives us more insights and tell us that am I spending enough amount of time on a candidate who's really interested to join my organization, or am I really required to not waste my time with someone who's not showing some interest even after the offer has been made, because obviously the person might have gone shopping around with different offers and possibly is not wanting to show interest in joining the organization. I think so it gives both perspectives, right? It gives good insights. So that's where I'll put it. And that's where organizations, like as I said, are slowly evolving to understand the adoption. So to summarize, I would say it's all about adoption. It's all about cost versus readiness, and it's all about how we can successfully help automate some of the things that we are doing. And needless to mention, there should not be any compromise on the experience that we want to create, both for a candidate as well as an employee after joining the organization. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I'm certain we have gained a wealth of knowledge here in respect to machine-human collaboration in the recruitment process. With such rich discussion, we have reached almost at the end of our session. We have a few minds in our audience, so let's take questions from them, please.
Sure.
So our very first question is, how's the machine learning and learning and AI in recruitment viewed by the job seekers and employers in the UK? And what factors are dividing adoption of these technologies in the UK job market?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the first part well. Could you please repeat that again?
Sure, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, I am. You are. Sorry.
Thank you. How is the use of machine learning and AI in recruitment viewed by job seekers and employers in the UK? And what factors are driving adoption of these technologies in the UK job market?
Okay, so I think with the silver lining that was there with COVID, we know that a lot of processes have got automated. A lot of companies are trying to project themselves as digital, right? I can give you an example and then come to the question that that has been asked. Um, Today, if you look, in the UK, we do not have driverless cars, but in the US, we have driverless cars, right? And there are a lot of Tesla has experimented it several times, and there are many organizations which are trying to experiment this, right? You'll be surprised that um, there are industries adjoining to automotive industry who are getting impacted by that, and one classic industry that's getting impacted by that is insurance companies, right? Uh, you can now imagine getting an insurance by the hour. Let's say you take a drive from San Jose to the Bay Area, right, and go by Uber, and whatever time it takes, and then imagine a situation where a car comes to pick you up and then there's no driver. So you get into the car and you want to make sure that you are insured for the time that you're traveling that journey, right? So you can imagine that the companies are looking at creating disruption, right? I think that's the key word, right? And but the reason I gave that example is because it's all about creating disruption at the end of the day. How can you come out of the routine things that you're doing today and look at disrupting the way in which you are working today? And one such way is the machine learning or the AI, right? There are a lot of organizations today who have already implemented what we call as RPA, right, robotic process automation, through several different I would say layers of stacking that is required to be done to understand cognitive learning, or for that matter NLP, or for that matter understanding whether the person is really interested to join, right? Understanding basically experiences, skills, and the technology that they are being assessed on. Now, having said that, in the UK, I know a lot of organizations, UK-based organizations, who have already implemented that. But again, the question is all about, how much entrenched they are in terms of adoption. According to me, I think the adoption rate is just about 10 to 20%. What AI tools are doing at the moment is to help recruiter do certain jobs which they are not required to do. For example, parsing CVs. Can they schedule an interview? Can they get to get the candidates fill certain basic forms which are required to be filled, and can they do that screening, and can they give the closest match for the job that's required to be done? I think that's where many organizations in the learning curve is where they're treading. I think still a long way to go, but that's where I think many organizations are at the moment. But when it comes to the recruitment, industry, there are a lot of tools which have already got integrated. For example, Paradox AI, or for that matter, Skillet, which are some of the companies who are also beautifully integrating with tools like Monster or Indeed or Read, that we know of in the UK, and helping organizations to parse CVs better, get different CVs, look for passive candidates who have not been active, try and do targeted messaging to say would you be interested, and there are many things, right? These tools also integrate with LinkedIn. So that's where I think many organizations are trying to, again, as I said, it's all about cost versus readiness, are trying to be in that curve and adopt to the tools. So that's how I'll put it, what I have seen and experienced here in the UK.
Right, sir. And the very next question is actually very much in relation to what I asked you, it seems. How can companies ensure that they are able to attract and retain top talent in a highly competitive job market while still leveraging the benefits of machine-human collaboration in recruitment?
Um, I would say, again, going back to what I had said few minutes back, right? I think it just doesn't stop at finding the right candidate. It's also about how we can continue the journey of that individual into the organization. And there are a lot of tools which are there out there. For example, Lena AI or Amber, and there are many other organizations which beautifully integrate with the company's ERP systems, with the company's collaboration tools, like for example Zoom, or for that matter Teams, or any of the tools out there, Yammer. And the intent with which these tools integrate is to find out simple things like, for example, what's your mood today? Right? Are you happy? Are you, coming with a poker face, or are you really sad or depressed? Right? In as simple as that, to getting down to the path of asking questions to say, for example, getting insights, right? How frequently, have I logged into my machine? Right? How frequently have I looked at some of the updates coming from my chairman or the CEO? How frequently have I liked, some of the posts that are coming from my organization? So there are different things, right? You can look at different analytics which you can draw, and actually ascertain and determine the intent with which the employee continues working with the organization. Now, having said that, there are different other talent management tools which are also beautifully integrating with AI tools, which actually gives you assessment of, like for example, 360 degrees, right? There are tools which do not necessarily require to go through any kind of human intervention. You need to integrate that. It will do its job to go and find out who are the right stakeholders with whom the person generally works, right? And try and get feedback to say how well the person is, what feedback that the person or the person all about, what are the different traits about the about the person, and then give you beautiful insights about the capability that we want to build for the person. So I wouldn't want to restrict it only to just to say, okay, it's all about recruitment, right? It's also about how we can look at during the life cycle stage of an individual in the organization, and how these tools are actually helping you to give good insights, right? But at the end of the day, as you can imagine, many organizations are not just only relying on the tool. They are taking those insights and using them to take good decisions, and helping them to take the right decisions at the right time. So that's how organizations are integrating AI tools today.
Right, sir. It seems we have more incoming. Another question that has been posed here is why should an organization use an AI recruitment platform at all?
Well, that's that's a choice. I would say one would need to make, and the best way to determine that is, again, where are you on the path of your life cycle in the organization? Is it more to do with the costs, or is it more to do with the readiness? Right. Many organizations have taken a call to invest in tools, and then see the or reap the benefits of introducing these tools over a period of time, right? So there are early adopters or investors of these technologies to see whether it'll help, and then see what insights it can bring in, what it can draw to, and it'll help you to do your decisions or get to your decisions better. um, there are organizations who have not taken the view of cost. There are organizations who have taken how well you are in the process, right? Have you mastered the art, right? For example, in my own organization, we had looked at doing a Six Sigma way of doing recruitment. We said that we have mastered this art. Can we run a Six Sigma on this and say where are we failing today, right? Can we find out the defects, right, and try to improve that? And we got beautiful insights, and we still saw that we are not yet perfect, right? So we try to look at perfecting, or getting to a stage of being perfect over the next last couple of years. um, Again, I would say we're still not perfect, right? So I think it's all about where are you in your journey of perfecting the art of recruitment, things which you can normally let a tool do itself, rather than doing it, or for that matter take a call whether you would like to invest in technology and look at keeping certain costs allocated for such tools. So it's a balance, to be very honest. But yeah, there are organizations who have also taken a call that, look, let's just go the traditional way. That's the best way to network. That's the best way to get people to hire. Yeah, so nothing wrong in that. Yeah.
Thank you. Knowledge like to let darkness dissipate. I'm sure this discussion is leading the same. I think we'll be able to just entertain one more question as we have lot many incoming, but due to the time constraint, we entertain only one. So what is the potential impact of human-machine collaboration on the future of work and job market?
Right. I think according to me, both will coexist, right? For example, in my current organization, we have done a lot of what we call as automation for our clients, and then that's a simple way of saying we have done automation, but we have actually introduced bots to help the customer do better. And um, and and we go by the vision that when bots are able to do a job of a human, then the human can actually look at investing more time in improving what is required, or how we can deliver what we deliver today, right? So I'll give you a simple example. We work with a very large organization. They work in different government sectors, and is also a service provider. They wanted to get down the path to say that, look, gone are the traditional ways of managing infrastructure. Can you help us manage that by way of you know by having no human touch at all, right? So we help develop on what we call as a source code, right, or um, a code, and what we call as infrastructure as a code, which did not necessarily eliminate human intervention, but reduced the efforts that a human would have put in to make sure that certain checks are being looked into. So if I kind of look at the same analogy and look at how it will help and benefit in the recruitment process, I think it's all about how the tool can help you do your job better. I don't think according to me, robots are here to take away your jobs or take away our jobs. It's all about how we can coexist, collaborate, help us do better, right? Let's fast forward 50 years from now. I'm sure there will be tools which will disrupt the market, but I think there will be a need. I'm a firm believer that there will be a continued need for humans to interact with humans, right? So, and that's how I'll put it. So, yeah, at the end of the day, we will coexist.
Wonderfully said, sir. It was wonderful and quite educating to have you here with us. Thank you so much. Dear viewers, for further query and questions, kindly mail us at info@primetalent.com. My apologies to all those whose questions we couldn't address due to time constraint. Nevertheless, please write to us at info@primetalent.com and we shall do the needful. Also, you can visit our website www.primetalent.com. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Thank you so much, Mr. Shenoy, for being with us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the time and patience from the audience as well as from you, Ekta. Thank you so much for hosting this, and thank you to Prime Talent for having me on to this session. I am again deeply honored and humbled with the interaction that we had, and I hope it was useful. And yep, look forward to collaborating and networking, with all the tools which are there out there in the market. So, yep, thank you and best wishes to everyone. And wherever you are, have a good rest of the evening, or have a good night, or have a good rest of the day.
Wish you the same, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.